Thank you for joining us again. We're here with Chris Worrell from Oxfam. Chris, if I wanted to get involved with Oxfam, what would be my first point of call?
I think the best thing I'd suggest to viewers is that they log on to the website, and that way they can find out the kind of things that Oxfam does. I think the information for viewers is going along the bottom of the screen as we talk. It's the best way for people to find out what Oxfam does. And by finding out what we do, it's the way that people can get involved by calling Oxfam and talking about the kind of skills that people have to offer and that kind of thing.
Can anybody join?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
when you talk about joining, there are different ways that people can get involved. I'm a campaigner. I'm based in the north of England. There are volunteers who can work for the shops, for example, who work in the shops, and they're working to raise funds by sorting through clothing and other items that people drop in and that kind of thing. To work as a campaigner, you can join groups who work with the media and work with politicians and that kind of thing. All this information again is available on the website.
Okay, tell me something then. How do you get your voice heard to the highest level of the governments? If you want to change or you're protesting about something very serious, how do you get these people to listen to you?
Okay, at the very highest level, we have people who go and talk to Tony Blair and go and talk to the leaders of countries all over the world. We go and talk to Bush and people like that. So we have people operating at that level. But very often, we're very aware that people like Tony Blair rely on the popularity that got them there in the first place.
Yeah.
So in order to have, if you like, a wider impact on them, an international impact, we need to reach ordinary people to get them interested in the kind of things that we want to see change. The symbol of the campaign in the UK is a white band, and I'm wearing one here, and I've got one for you as well.
Thank you.
There you are.
Thanks very much.
This is something that we want everybody to be wearing this year. It's about people joining in. It's a simple way, of people being able to join in. To wear this means that you're in support of global poverty reduction.
So how much does it cost?
They are £1,
okay,
and you can buy them from any Oxfam shop this year. And there's shops in most towns all over the UK. It's a very simple ask. Beyond that, we'd like people to write to Tony Blair and get involved and join us in Edinburgh on the 2nd of July.
Good. What's we talk about the negativity about the world, the state, the way there's a lot of poor people around. What are the achievements? What has Oxfam actually done to make a change?
But one of the biggest achievements this year, for example, has been getting a commitment from the UK government to uphold their contribution to international aid. Something that the campaign was called 0.7, and what that means is that there is a commitment to giving 0.7 of the government's annual aid budget to the work that we're doing overseas, and that's a long-term commitment, and we're going to see that come into fruition. I think it's in 2007. I think it is. So it's that kind of thing, and that kind of thing only happens because we get people out on the streets and we get people saying to politicians that we want to see change. But then I've mentioned already that the work that we've got going on in countries like Yemen. That kind of change, which impacts on individuals in remote villages in different parts of countries, is very important. It really is.
So these are the positives. What's the negatives? What's the obstacles you've had? What do you find difficult to get through, or in terms of if you are working internationally, what are the obstacles in the way there? Is it governments or is it people? What actually happens?
Well, we think, when you look at the solution to poverty, Oxfam is a great believer that there are three particular areas that are very important to reducing poverty. One is international trade. The second is reducing debt for poor countries, and the other is aid. And one of the biggest obstacles that we face is persuading particularly world leaders, countries like America, even the UK, countries in the EU, that the rules of, say, international trade need to be changed. We've done some research which shows that I think it's only a 2% increase in the in the trade that poor countries, in the access of international trade that poor countries can have into rich country markets. So we're talking about selling rice and that kind of thing. Would alleviate poverty for, I think it's about 140 million people, something like that. So we're talking about a very small ask in a sense.
Yeah.
And although it's small to us, that we need to sort of win the hearts and minds of world leaders like, you know, Bush and Blair and people like that, because we have to win the battle to convince them that the figures add up, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It is a long-term battle, but I mean, international trade is a massive force in poverty reduction, and that's one of our biggest obstacles. Can I give you an example, perhaps?
Maybe after the break. We'll be back after a short break.